Hello, everybody, and welcome to Reed's Read Spider-Man Crawl Space Edition. Please check us out at the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. Well, guys, I'm here for a nice little review, as promised, of after issue 53 to go to issue 53 LR, Last Rites, and then, of course, we'll go back and talk about the Symbiote Spider-Man #1, The King in Black. So let's get on ourselves over to the next to last tie-in issue for Last Rites, issue 53 LR. So first of all, the pros. So first of all, it does pick up nicely in the astral plane of the Order of the Web along with Doctor Strange. But I really have to say is this really takes a nice spot into Doctor Strange's mindset. He actually sees the things that have caused. He is not aware there was a deal made with demons and extra things between Peter Parker and Mary Jane. He's not 100% sure what. But I do like the fact that he is basically explaining how this has been all Peter's fault, and the fact is when he should have came to him for help to deal with other precautions. And also the Order of the Web actually dealing with all the different demons and stuff. And I gotta love some of the references. The Ghostbuster references with Arena, the talk between Gwen Stacy and Julia Carpenter is actually not too bad either. And I really like Vicenti's art on this work. He gives a very nice dark of the more dark and mystical areas of the astral plane with all the demon versions of Aunt May and Mary Jane, the Kingpin, the assassin from Back in Black that led to the deal with Mephisto and Peter and Mary Jane. But that kind of leads a little bit to the cons. The first one is, at what point do we make up our mind what Julia Carpenter's talking about? Here she was saying, well, no, we shouldn't save Norman Osborn. But now I see, thanks to the Order of the Web, that it was a good thing Peter threw him out. Otherwise, we wouldn't have known this, and then we'd be able to get into it, even though we've been controlled by Kindred, who we supposedly know is Harry Osborn. I think it gets to the point, too, where it's just like, there's no real true characterization with Julia Carpenter, and she's honestly been a mess since Grim Hunt originally happened that, made her the new Madam Web and everything, because there's no consistency on her. She's very vague. People call her out on it, and then they kind of look at her and say, but you said this earlier. Well, I know I did, but I changed my mind, or I'm seeing things differently. It's gotten to the point, too, where I'm surprised nobody's like, I'm not listening to you anymore, Julia, because you never know what's up and what is down, or down is up and up is down, or left is right, and, so forth. And it's really a thing. Also, the thing with the Morlun piece with the Sin Eater also comes off very strange. I feel like Morlun was kind of like thrown into this storyline just to keep things leading on to the Sin Eater, because the Sin Eater pretty much went from being, a foe and resurrected by Harry Osborn as Kindred to be kind of an Order of the Web situation. And apparently he does still have his powers, as he's able to cleanse and de-sin Morlun. And also some of the things with Morlun, I think he went from being a really good Spider-Man villain to being a mess now ever since Spider-Verse and Armageddon started. And to see him into this situation is just kind of, I'm sorry for offensive to Nick Spencer and Rosenbaum, but it feels kind of dumb. I feel like that being the only inheritor left and what he's been led to just doesn't make sense. Also, the fact that there really isn't a given reason why Sin Eater picked Morlun of all people to do his little cleansing to get back in the good graces of Kindred, because he's still delusional. He's always been thinking he has got a higher calling, when the fact is he's basically just turned into a cog in the wheel, which I do believe is going to end up messing up Harry Osborn's main plans, which makes the classic villain stuff. There's also some other issues too. I mean, I do like it as a storyline, but I kind of feel like this really has only been kind of cleaning up a little bit of stuff that wasn't handled in the main issues of Spider-Man, especially after 53 does a callback to One More Day and omit. But the fact that, the Order Web has been cleaning up more issues, I feel it should have been in the main story, which kind of clogs it up a little bit. So my grade for 53 Last Rites is going to be a C+. It's not a bad story, and there's some nice callbacks and some great jokes and everything, but there's a lot of things with the whole situation with Sin Eater and Morlun, as well as Julia Carpenter being called out on behavior, and then her being like a bad plot on a TV show saying, oh no, that's not the real reason. No, it's very bad. Honestly, I'm very sad of what has happened to the character of Julia Carpenter, because she was a great character for so many years, and I feel like ever since Grim Hunt happened, which is hard to believe, which was over almost a decade ago, it's just ruined the character. And I wonder if they're just setting her up to honestly take the fall in this storyline. So I guess we'll find out on that. But on a more positive note, let's move on to the Symbiote Spider-Man King in Black tie-in issues by Peter David and Greg Land. And I know some people will probably love and hate this this review, so let's get it going with the pros. First of all, I've been loving these mini-series that Peter David has done with the Symbiote days of Spider-Man in the black costume, and it's nicely seamlessly fit into a lot of pieces into the storyline of the Symbiote Spider-Man days versus actually trying to, ruin continuity everything. And I really like it. I know some people are hit or miss with Greg Land's with his artwork, but he really gives a nice little clean feel to all the other characters, even if they're posed and everything else. I love how they use Alistair Smythe into the story, actually dealing with the connection of Ned Leeds' early days before he was considered a suspect as the Hobgoblin. And I really like the great use of the costume and how Peter David was able to fit in the continuity a bit with the King in Black crossover. I also like how he actually slips in Uta the Watcher and King the Conqueror. And I have to say, I really love the dialogue between the two, where Uta is kind of like, well, okay, King, you want to use me here. I'm not too worried about you. And then, of course, actually, King the Conqueror going like, well, I need to learn here because otherwise I have to travel a lot of lifetimes to get all the information. And, of course, everything blows up. And I just love it when he's hanging in space with his ship destroyed going, well, this is great. Now I'm hanging out in space. What a wonderful life I have. It's the classic Peter David thing. And also him bringing in Mr. E is also a very interesting thing. For those wondering, he is a classic character from 1980s Marvel Showcase, which was actually co-created with Steve Ditko, the co-creator of Spider-Man. So it's very interesting seeing Mr. E coming on. I vaguely remember him, and it actually leads to nice tie-ins with Rocket Raccoon showing up at the end of the story, as well as possibly of him being a symbiote related, as he calls Spider-Man his brother because of the other symbiote. But that kind of leads a little bit to the cons too. I feel like we had to do a lot of pieces in here, and as much as I love seeing the Black Knight and everything, I feel like this is going to have to need a really good explanation of exactly how getting Null, the King in Black, the creator of the symbionts, actually tied in the storyline, using time travel and stuff is a smart move. But I'm really wondering, because Peter David's really got to sneak in a lot of future continuities here, because I know Nowhere is coming up in an upcoming issue, as well as Alec the Troll, and the fact they're using the symbiote dragons, which actually pulls in the stuff with Black Knight. I mean, in a way, it's a good thing because Peter David is aware of the past issues in continuity and how to line them all up. And actually bringing in Mr. E has been a very interesting little run that he is actually another symbiote, though I'm wondering what the tie-in is. But I feel like this is an issue that's trying to be part of a crossover while trying to be its own little story. And I think that's going to really kind of hurt it in the long run, but we don't know. This is issue 1, guys. We still have 4 issues to go. This concludes in March when King in Black all wraps up here from the main crossovers, which is the reason why I've had these on my wonderful table here for the last couple of months. So I'm going to actually give it a solid B. I really enjoyed the story. I thought it was a nice use of Alistair Smythe, continuity, Peter, Ned Leeds, and everything else. And also just fun with Uta the Watcher, King the Conqueror, and bringing back a long-forgotten villain of Mr. E and bringing in Rocket Raccoon. So I'm definitely interested to see where this goes. I enjoyed it, but as I say, a solid B. So that's what we have it for everybody, guys. I will see you in a couple weeks as we get ready for the big conclusional issues for Last Rites, as we wrap up 2020 and lead to 2021 about the aftermath of Last Rites and who Kindred is and what he wants. So for more information, guys, go ahead and check us out at the SpidermanCrawlspace.com. Go ahead and check us out on our various social medias from Instagram to Twitter. And for any other information, go right back on here for updated reviews or anything else. And on that note, everybody, I will see everybody on the Crawl Space.